So, good morning. Happy Saturday. We're going to talk about twin flame lies. We're going to also do an oracle card reading because we need to know what the universe wants us to know individually in our journeys. Many of you are being challenged, and we're in a very interesting time in history. There's a lot going on, and I thought I would take a half hour, maybe a little more, and do this live together talk about much of the twin flame dialogue that has really harmed people and pushed people to unaliven themselves, a word I hate using, as you all know by now. I hate that word, unaliven. I wish George Carlin was here right now. He would rip this shit down like a house of cards. Words that separate us from true feelings. But anyway, getting to the point, this twin flame connection that you have, that no one understands, that people call, again, another word I hate, limerence, obsession. Let's call it for what it is. And you will go through an obsession. Babies, when they're born, are obsessed with their hands and feet. It doesn't make them narcissistic. It's curiosity. It's trying to figure out, how does this person in this other body, separate from my body, feel like they're me? And how can they actually be my shadows? How do they personify many of my shadows? Also my light. How is it? This is something not talked about enough. And I don't know if that's your reality, but it was mine for quite some time. Where my smell was his smell. We had similar smells, which was very strange. And all of the angel numbers, which are ascension numbers, which all starseeds that are being awakened are seeing. And then there comes the kicker. Your numbers, your twins' number, their numbers, meaning they're not angel numbers. Some in some cases it could be, because I know some clients who are 11, and they're in 11. Good morning, Becca. It's good to see you, and thank you, Andromeda, for being here. And it's interesting because when you see those numbers come up again and again, their birth date, 12/23, 5/18. It's a zip code, addresses. You'll feel like you're in an alternative universe. You'll actually think like you're in a sci-fi episode. And it's what I would call serendipitous. It is jumping. It's part of jumping timelines. It's also the universe saying you're not crazy. You're not crazy. This is real. This is the connection that you're feeling is correct. My mother passed in September of 2022, and now I see her numbers everywhere. Because and again, I'm going to tell you something. This twin flame numbers that you see isn't just twin flames. That's why I'm bringing up my mother. So she was born March 3rd, like 3/3/1939, and what do I see? 339 everywhere, 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 every fucking where. And that's her way of communicating to me. Tip 1. However, with twin flames, it'll be more insane. Because with twin flames, it'll be the expiration date on your credit card. It'll be the last 3 or 4 numbers on a credit card. Social securities, and in their social security, there's your number in the middle. The first, the 2 digits in the middle, for example, that's the day you were born. Or, and even worse, they might have the birth date of your father, mother, brother, best friend. I see his birth date and initials everywhere. Birth date. Yep. Everywhere. And as you're pulling away, right, the universe will slam you with numbers again and again. Now you could say in psychology, spiritual psychology, I'm just going to wrap it up and so we understand what I'm kind of saying. You could say, and some people would say, that you're creating that energy. But I disagree. 100% disagree. Because when you're about to leave and say, fuck this, I'm out, boom, there comes the numbers again and again. Every hour, every 2 hours, you're seeing them. And it's haunting. And you didn't create that. No offense, you're not that powerful yet. And they're seeing it too. See, that's the bitch. They're seeing it too. They're seeing it too, and they're denying it. You might have the most unusual name, the way it's spelled or whatever. And there comes a truck saying, interior design by blah, blah, blah. Right? Or you might see a street sign. And I'm not joking. My twin, though Irish, has he was given a Hindustani Sanskrit name when he was initiated. And he was in his 30s. And I actually saw his fucking name on a street sign. You can't make this shit up, okay? You can't, okay? And right here in America, okay? Right here. Actually, it was when I lived in California. There's a jewelry company that has his name. It's insane. So what I'm trying to say to you is, your job isn't to convince other people of your experience. That's not your job. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. No one. And does twin flame connections run in family lineages? I would say in the last 30 years, that's what I've been seeing. Strangely enough. Just like star seeds give birth to star seeds. Right? Does it make sense, right? Why would a star seed go to parents who are earthlings, meaning all of their incarnations have only been on Earth and nowhere else? In other words, when they were made as souls, if you're a starseed, you're way, you're way older than earthlings. So you would not be able to, it's not that you wouldn't be able to, it wouldn't service you. It would be like, I usually use the word muggle. And can that happen here and there? Yes, because even earthlings, there's some earthlings that are highly evolved. They're going through the evolution very quickly. It's not a denigration to the earthlings. But starseeds have had incarnations throughout times, dimensions, planets before they ever step foot on Earth soil. Ever. And so it's not a stretch to see starseeds having starseeds, giving birth to starseeds. And of course, being that you're a twin, of course your twin is a starseed. That's a no-brainer. You were made at the same moment. So of course. And so you would have had incarnations on other planets with your starseed. If anyone wants to really understand Anunnaki in a more realistic way, not in a fear-filled way, but a more interesting way, I would recommend Astral Legends on YouTube. Astral Legends, you can look up. He's got the most incredible fucking content about Zachariah Stitchin's books. His translations of the Sumerian tablets, which to this day is still considered the best translations. And the guy has volumes and volumes and volumes of books that he translated from the Sumerian tablets, which goes back to Mesopotamia, so on and so forth. And it's really interesting because we all know this, the legend, many of you, I hope, know this, that the Anunnaki first came onto Earth to mine gold, because they needed gold. I forgot exactly the reasons, but there was a level of energy that gold gives out. Now, I don't know if you know this, but I've said in a previous live, gold is edible, and gold is really fantastic. I used to actually use skincare. That was a French skincare that used to put gold in their creams, and I saw a difference. I was in my 20s, okay, great skin already, but you know what I'm saying. And in food, in India, in Europe, they tip food with gold and silver. Real. So I want to go back to all of the magic and the sadness that is wrapped in the magic, the evolution of your magical understanding of realms, of ways of thinking. Like you're becoming a quantum thinker. And unfortunately, if you're sitting there trying to convince, how do I put this in a polite way? A frog that it's a human, you're going to have a hard time. In other words, you can't convince someone of something they're not ready to understand. And Plato's parable of the cave, you should look it up, is a perfect example of how when people are hearing things that they're not ready to hear, meaning you trying to convince them that what you're feeling for your twin, what you're going through with your twin, all the synchronicities, all the connections, all of that, and you're sitting there literally trying to convince your mother, your father, your best friend, whatever. Plato's parable of the cave. Fucking don't do it. Keep it quiet. Find people like us. Find your tribe who get it. Because only twins understand twin flame journey. And you can tell people who are fake because they're saying shit that is so fucking stupid. You're like, yeah, they're full of shit. They've decided that they know what they're talking about. And many of them are saying, I'm in union with my twin. No, they're in union with their high-level soulmate. Fabulous. Congratulations. That's beautiful. Because they've had absolutely no issues. Twin rays that are in union aren't as smugly arrogant. They're not. They're actually, they keep undercover. Okay? They know that half the shit they're going through at twin rays, the public is definitely not ready. A good example is Mary Magdalena and Yeshua. You know, I was telling my friend Andromeda that I knew Maria Magdalene was not a WHORE 30 years ago. Excuse, my throat chakra is being challenged. And I knew that because I'd read the Gnostic Gospels by Elaine Pagel. I read that book again and again and again, and I was like, I just, how could they have lied to us about the divine couple? Hunted like nothing more than animals. And maligned for a good 1,000 years. Less than that, I'll tell you. Because it was Pope Benedict who actually came up with the story of combining the Mary who washed his feet, the Mary who was a WHOR, and Mary of Magdalena, a high priestess. Combine them to simplify shit, you know. Not to mention you've got the Council of Nicaea with Constantine and his henchmen and so forth. Because one of the reasons why they had to take out reincarnation out of the BIBB, you know, was because people were saying, fuck this, I'm out. I don't want to be a slave or this or that. So they had to they had to take it out. That was one of the many reasons to control, to subjugate, to keep, you know. And then, you know, they threw in the meek shall inherit the earth. The word meek would have turned on any rebel until I realized that the meek meant, oh, we don't want to harm anyone. It's meek? No, that's power. But going back to the twin flames, so you see, when you look at some of the ancient histories and the massive fuckery that's gone on with the gender split of divide and conquer, right? When you realize the agenda by a certain sect of people and the premise to separate the divine couple. When you look at Isis Osiris and what happens when Isis is looking for her beloved Osiris, and she's able to still, her power is so magnificent, she's able to find all his, well, she can't find all his parts, but she finds the most important part, which impregnates her. This love across time, you know, this wanting to show us stories of not being able to have happy ever after. Things like you can't have it all. You sure in the fuck can have it all. All of it. All of it. Abundance, health is the first thing you want is love in abundance. The second is health, because without health, you know. And then, of course, a wealth, abundance, material abundance. And you can have it all. There are people literally walking this planet right now who have it all. And they're healthy, and they're wonderful, and they're kind, and they didn't do anything wrong to gain those beautiful gifts. And some of them are twin rays, and they keep it under wraps because the average human being is filled with jealousy and envy and corruptness. And so when you talk about this incredible love that you have and this connection and telepathy and the sexuality and the healing, all of that, And you're saying it to someone who's dealing with pedestrian lovers from their past. How the fuck are they going to connect to you? They're going to feel bereft. I've made the mistake of telling women my experiences with two men I loved. One is a twin flame and one is a high-level soulmate. Very high level. And how when I made love to them or they made love to me, the emotional and the spiritual connection, the explosive feeling of the soul leaving the body for a flash of lightning. I've made the mistake of telling women that. Thinking that when you love someone, this was part of the experience. Unbeknownst to me, it isn't so common. And that wrought jealous, energies from these women. And so, unlike women of my previous generation, I knew that I needed to find my high priestesses and goddesses. And the women like that would never be jealous. They would celebrate with me. They would be in awe. They would be excited. They would think, maybe that wasn't my path in this incarnation, but in the next, I will have a beloved like that. I claim it for me now, in this next life. Or in my 60s or 70s, I will find a beloved like that. And he will walk beside me until we have no longer a breath in our body. But you can't expect to share these incredible esoteric ideas with people who have a pedestrian mind. Yeah, you're going to be sadly disappointed. And the sad part is, and then that's the worst part, is you'll start second guessing yourself and gaslighting yourself that you're going insane. Do you know the first thing every client does when they call me for a reading or a session? They say, I think I'm going crazy. Every single client, I'm talking about thousands of clients, first thing out of their mouth, I think I'm going crazy. Because in the world of what's considered 3D normality, what a twin flame is experiencing is supernatural. And so when you're listening to, when you're reading Cora, about, well, twin flames are this and that and the other. Yeah, they're talking about twin rays, not twin flames. Twin rays, yes, they meet. They never separate, meaning maybe they're like, I'll give you an actual example of twin rays I know. She met him doing her, she was trained to be a shaman, beautiful American girl. And he is still in the kind of the finance world, right? But he was awake, and they met, and she would travel to her gig. She'd go to Peru, sacred medicine, blah, blah, blah. And then they would get back together. They were talking every day. And when they would physically talk, I came across them one day. I didn't mean to intrude. I in fact, didn't see me. And they were both talking to each other, almost nose to nose, palm to palm to the heart of each other, speaking to each other, gazing at each other. Normal people, quote unquote, they don't talk like that to each other. With respect and listening, not to respond, but to understand. I sat there for like 5 minutes in awe and joy to see that. And subsequently, every interaction with them was beautiful. And then it was time for her to go to another gig, another thing, and I was talking to him, and we were talking about monogamy and this and that. Gorgeous man, gorgeous woman. They ended up having a child. And though she still works in that world, and he has, joined her in that world, of healing and energy work and so forth, they keep it under wraps. People who are smart, who know, will see them and know those are twin rays in mission, meaning they're working together to heal other people. But the average person won't understand it. And so when you see couples like that, it's quite often, especially when they're in mission together like that, yeah, they're twin rays. They're doing, what I'm going to say with no apology, God's work. They're doing God's work. Source. They're direct messengers. They've done, and so how do you get to a twin ray? Well, what happens is you've done all the shit, multiple incarnations. You've prepared. You've been jealous. You've betrayed each other. You've ran from each other. You didn't marry each other. You listened to other people. You never listened to you. You've done all that work. You've worked on your shadows. You've worked on your self-worth. And finally, it is time in this particular timeline called the ascension time. And you've got a soul contract to meet. And you meet. And immediately as you meet, the beautiful thing is you never separate. There's no jealousy. There's no bullshit. There's no anger. There's no accusation. There's no triggering of trauma. And if there's something triggered, it's talked about. And there's no defensive energy. There's no, it's your fault. I don't understand you. I'm not in charge of your feelings. Bullshit. Lines that are meant to shame you into silence because you want to understand why this person can't see you and see each other as a divine couple or a power couple or whatever the hell you want to call it. There's none of that. Now, can you be a twin flame in the ascension and become a twin ray in one lifetime? You sure in the hell can. And the irony is you may actually vibe so high that you actually graduate. Think of people going to high school. They're going to high school. Let's put it to you this way. I'm going to give you an example. So you both graduated from high school, and your twins decided to just get a job. You've decided to go higher learning. You go to university. And now it's 10 years later, and you have your master's, and your twin still has a high school diploma. So think of that on a spiritual context, okay? Of 3D, and now you're in 5D. And now you've decided to get your PhD, and your twin decides, I do want to get a degree, actually. I do want to change my life. I do want to feel happy. I want to understand what I need to be more grounded in myself. So let me go to university. And so they do. So they progress. Think of that as them going to 4D. And so, but you're already a twin ray without your twin flame. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your twin flame is still a twin flame, but you vibrated to such a high level of transcendence and so trusting in divine timing in this life or the next that you're in a twin ray vibration already. And suddenly, here comes your twin getting their PhD. And before you drop your bodies, you're there. So that in the next incarnation, on maybe this planet, what's in 5D vibration, or another planet, higher realms, they talk about this, that there's heavenly planets and hellish planets. There are planets where it's 20% mind, 80% heart, and vice versa, 80% heart, 20% mind. And this planet, which makes it extraordinary, this planet is 50% heart, 50% mind. But the average person is more into the mind. And the worst, and even worse than that, the monkey mind, the false ego, the one that lies, the one that berates you, the one that you can't trust, the one that will actually harm you. Because it's the monkey mind that pushes people to unaliven themselves. It's not the soul, let's get out of here, let's jump off this bridge. It's the monkey mind. So unchecked, the monkey mind is dangerous. It's a parasitical energy. So when you actually become transcendental and you don't get triggered by your twin running from you, it's not that you don't give a shit anymore. It's that you're like, you know what? He's going to fucking hit that wall, but I can't tell him. So or her, sorry. So I'm going to continue my work. What is devastating to me and people like me who do this work is to see twin flames who are very powerful in their own singular right decide that they can't do any mission until they're in union with their twin flame. They have conditionally said to the universe, I will not be in mission unless I'm in union with my twin in this incarnation. And that's a bad deal. Very bad deal. Because what it does is it impacts the entire collective situation. Oh, thank you, Truthful. Thank you. Same birthday as my paternal grandma. You can't make this up. Yes, music as well. Absolutely. I agree with the music. My son was born at 1:44 p.m. That's fantastic. Billy Carson, yes. I believe we are raised, but he's not ready to accept it. Well, unless, and this is not to denigrate any of you, but many of you would think that you're raised, right? Be honest with yourself. Are you really a ray or do you want to be a ray? There's a difference. Now, could you personally be a ray and your twin flame is still a twin flame? Yes. In terms of, however, let's say you're correct and you guys are raised and the person doesn't want to accept it. It's a lack of self-worth. And that doesn't preclude you from being a ray, by the way. That's definitely true. But it's a lack of self-worth, or it's or being bound by duty. You know, a lot of twin flames and or on the verge, the cusp of twin rays, men and women both equally, will have soul contracts with children, and they will not leave their marriages, their situations, no matter how toxic and fucked up it is. Sometimes they stay because it's to protect the child. It's a buffer zone, you know, from the parent that's toxic. And so they won't leave. Okay? Because they know if they do, then, you know, shared custody, the kid now has to spend the weekend with their toxic parent. You're not there to monitor, buffer, or protect that kid. And the kid comes back to you fucked up, and you've got until Friday to get it back together. So that actually happens. And so you have to be patient with those soul contracts. You know, I mean, they have soul. And the irony is, if that kid, or one or two or more of these children, are a soulmate of your twin, that means they're your soulmate as well. I hope you understand that, right? So that child is technically, in a sense, your spiritual brother, sister, whatever. If your twin tells you, my kid, I know it's my soulmate, I just know it is, then you better understand that's your soulmate too. And so you would sit in meditation to find out what exactly is this soul connection. Maybe do a, you know, like just ask your soul, show me the past life that I've had with this child and my twin. Show me something so I can understand it, you know, so you can put it into perspective. Me, I felt like I was losing my mind. The first time I reached out for help, I thought I was going crazy. Yes, that is exactly what I thought, and I couldn't accept it. Exactly. Facts. Yes. My son, and I feel, is my soulmate. Yeah. I feel he is our child. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. You know, a lot of us come in like 20 at a time, 30 at a time. Some of us are lucky enough to go 100 at a time in one incarnation to meet each other, to help each other. And some of them are going to be our lovers. You know, we'll have our twin flame, and then we'll have maybe one or two lovers who are our high-level soulmates or soulmates, and they will be part of our journey and growth. And some of them will never, ever, in no incarnation will they ever be your lover. Never. It is a mentorship, and it could be your own child. Your 3-year-old has got more power than you can fathom. And so that's why I'm really against people doing baby talk with kids. It drives me crazy, because I'm not saying speak to them sternly, by the way. You can have the same voice you would have with your beloved or your child at 10, right? But I don't believe in dumbing them down. I think that, like, for example, for my son, I used to read him Goodnight Moon, don't get me wrong, but I also read to him as an infant, and moving forward into the age as he grew up, I would read Khalil Gibran. A lot of you would say, well, that's very complex poetry, philosophy, blah, blah, blah. And I would say, no, it's not, because his soul knows. I'm not feeding his monkey mind. I'm feeding his soul of philosophies and things that he may have read before 100 years ago. So Khalil Gibran being born in the 1920s, that's another show, but other poets as well. Other poets, philosophical work. Read Plato to your kid. Why not? Why not? Because really, it's the sound of your voice that the child is connecting to anyway. And wouldn't it be nice if you also seed them with knowledge? I think it's a good way to go. But anyway, baby talk drives me crazy. Yes, he was awakened before me. So when you try to convince your people around you, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your friends, male friends, women friends, you're going to suffer even more. So what you need to do is find groups that speak the truth, or in these lives like that, I'm always telling people, go ahead and start following each other so that you have a support system. Try to stay away from people. I'm going to be very blunt on this Saturday morning. Very blunt. There are content creators talking about the twin flame journey who have never even met their twin. They've never physically met their twin. They've never talked. They've never kissed their twin, held hands with none of that. And yet they're giving fucking twin flame advice. Imagine the nerve. And it's extremely damaging. It's extremely dangerous to do that. And yet they are. When you haven't lived it, and or you don't have a massive like psychic ability to tap into the akashic to pull down all of these experiences with your twin, you a person should not be coaching people like that. You want to find someone who is going to at the very least understand what a twin flame journey is, and understand that we are multidimensional light beings, and what that means in the concept of concurrent incarnations and walk-ins. I'm not joking here. I'm being very serious. If they don't have like a rudimentary understanding of concurrent incarnations, what it means to be a multidimensional being, what it is that walk-ins exist, they've always existed, and that it happens for multiple reasons. If they don't understand the importance of chakra, I mean, I could give you a list. Chakras, pranayama, breathing, mantra, but that's another show because that's really more personal. But certainly chakras, chi energy, and sexual energy. Having studied that and understanding the difference between casual sex and divine sexual, tantric sexual connection with another soul, I would say a match, your twin or high-level soulmate. These are the only types of souls that can actually heal you sexually without saying a word, but actually helping you by simply being your beloved. Quite often, and I know you know for a fact, when you've laid down in the arms of your beloved, your twin, you fell asleep like a baby. Like you can't sleep anywhere else. But the minute you hit the arms of your beloved, whether it's a high-level soulmate or a twin flame, you fall out like a log. You sleep like a baby because it's home. It's home. When I met my high-level soulmate, I was sitting on the couch. We were hanging out with all, his friends and so forth. And I was we were both like 20, almost 21. And I remember literally falling asleep on his shoulder. And that never really ended. I was that comfortable. And my twin, the twin was activating me on different things. I met my twin before I met my high-level soulmate. And it was definitely a soul contract. It was supposed to happen exactly like I did. And I'm thankful it did exactly how it did. Had I been with my twin as a young woman, the volatility of our energies together, we would have cannibalized each other. To be honest, it wouldn't have worked because the ego, mine, based on lack of self-worth, his, based on arrogance and entitlement, and which lack of self-worth, same thing, different type of result, would have been very, very toxic, which it was. So with my husband, who became my husband later on, it was a different issue, but we had each other's backs. There was no other issues except for, and I'm not going to get into it today. But I still love my husband, though he's passed, to pieces. I mean, always. I will always love him. And the difference between the twin flame dynamics and a high-level soulmate is, and I'll give you actual examples, is with my husband, we had past lives in Rome. I was his wife. I was his equal. He loved me, and we talked business and all kinds of things equally. And we remember the gardens and the courtyard, things of that nature. I was his brother. He was a very famous general. I was his brother. I went into battle with him many, many times. And there were other lives. We were farmers. Really simple life. No issues. No children. Everything was good. It was just a simple, simple life. And the souls sometimes need that, the wheat field. If you remember the movie Gladiator, when he runs his hands across the wheat field, and it's a flashback again and again, because at the end, he doesn't want to be a warrior. He just wants to be with the land, right? And so sometimes we incarnate as twin flames in very, very simple, what you would call mundane lives, but they're not mundane to us because we've had been on other planets in battles, and we've done things where we were Amazonian-like with our lover, with our twin. And yes, twin flames can be same gender. Absolutely. The divine masculine and feminine in the opposite genders that are personified have its place, the yin and yang, but it's also personified in same gender situations. You know what I'm saying? And it's no less potent. And quite often, actually, when you look at twin flames, one of the hallmarks of twin flames is age disparity, race differences, and also same gender. So this person's been in love with men. And I've had a couple clients like that. I had a man who was straight. He said, I'm straight. What the fuck is happening here? And we confirmed it was a twin flame, this young man. He says, I love women. I love their bodies. I don't know what's going on here. And it was, yeah, there it is. It's a twin flame. And vice versa with women. I've had women who were straight, children, this, that, men, boyfriend after boyfriend, and boom, there walks the twin. You're like, what the fuck? You gotta be kidding. And part of it is to transcend and to transmute these weird ideas of what is okay, what is normal, what is good, what is right in love. We get to learn how love is not a face or a gender. Love is an energy. And it's quite often when you purify, when it burns, it's true love. True love isn't being in love. Don't confuse sex and desire. AKA, I'm no longer in love with you. You mean you don't want to fuck me anymore? That's not love. Love is they're in their wheelchair. Love is they're blind. Love is they can't make love to you anymore. They can't even hold you anymore, and you still love them. That's love. In love is a season, as I said in my last live. It has 4 seasons. And when you work on a relationship with your beloved, you make sure you keep it to 2 seasons, no more than 3. What does that mean? It means you don't go and allow your relationships to go from spring, summer, passion, the fall, it gets a little colder. Maybe you haven't had sex for a month or 2. Winter, fucking iced over. You try to avoid the winter seasons of any relationship with your beloved. You try to stay in the 3 seasons and best in 2 seasons. Because if you allow yourself to fall into the winter seasons, then suddenly, and you would never think that with a twin, but suddenly you find other people more attractive. And then you wander off. And then you figure, well, it's your right since, you're not communicating. Sometimes the winter seasons are there to test you and to smash old foundations that can no longer support this connection with your high-level soulmate or twin, and you come out of the other side. There comes spring, there comes summer, passion again, falling in love, having a wonderful, amazing, intimate connection with your person. But when people go from one relationship to another while they're waiting and hungering for their twin because they're in separation, maybe their twin's married to someone else or whatever's going on, and you're waiting and waiting while you're just dating other people just to keep things, going, you're going to be suffering a lot. Those are the times when you're better off being, I hate to say it, celibate. And the reason is because this time is for you to actually figure yourself out and figure out what you need, what your little girl or little boy needs. And why this energy of being rejected, in particular by your twin, is damn near, it has almost destroyed you. And how to rise out of the ashes like a phoenix, reborn, transform, more powerful than you ever have been, and realize that you're going to be okay. In fact, you can thrive. In fact, you can laugh your ass off all over again. You can really reconnect with your joy of life. It's very difficult in the beginning because when you go through the first dark night of the soul, you don't want to take another breath, and none of it's life becomes an effort it takes a lot to get out of bed. And that's why I tell my clients to work on their chakras when things are good, so that it becomes such a habit that when the shit hits the fan and you're almost taken over by the tsunami of emotions that crashes into you, into the dark night of the soul, that those habits are so well cemented and formed inside of you that you reach for them almost instinctively, automatic pilot, and that'll keep your head above water. That's why you do all of these things. Because in these incarnations, our twin is never going to constantly give us what we need unless we are in a twin ray connection where there's such compassionate, conscious thought for the other. It is such a habit for twin rays. And it's something that we as twin flames have not experienced fully with our twin flames. We're probably the one over giving, right? And over, like giving too much space. In other words, just saying, well, I'll just, I'll let them have their space so that I can do this and that. When your twin flame returns, this is the time when you spiritually educate them. This is not the time to have wild sex and have fun and all of that, because they will not stay with you. But if you seed them with the spiritual understanding, not that you're twin flames. Please don't tell your twin flame you're a twin flame. Please don't ever do that. It's a bad idea. If you do the right thing in spiritually educating them on reincarnation, on soul contracts, on karma, on why this connection is so strong, and you're giving them the right books to read on Audible if they don't like to read, actual read, and having discussions and sharing links and listen to Audible books together. If you're not doing that, right, then they will run and you will be on a spiral that lasts 10, 20, 30 years. I'm not joking. If you do that, when they come back, they will tell you. I read this book about soulmates. I think we have a soulmate connection. Let them tell you what this is. Okay? When you train anyone on anything in school, in class, in a new job, you don't do it for them. You kind of say, you give them like the basic parameters of what to do, and then they physically do it, or they physically absorb it themselves, and they tell you what they've just learned. They tell you what the aha moments that have come to them. People don't learn by having you tell them shit. People learn, and this is very true with kids and pretty much everyone, they learn by watching you act. So if your twin returns and they're seeing you getting up, and before you make your coffee, you're sitting for even, I don't care if it's a 9-minute meditation, but they see you doing it. They see you chanting, and they ask you, what were you doing? Well, I've never seen you do that. You were meditating? Yeah, what would you? So how do you keep your mind clear? Go ahead, come on, join me. Let's do it together. Are you? Well, I've never been able to meditate. It's and you instruct them, and for the first time ever, they get to actually meditate with you. If you actually share those kinds of experiences with your twin, you don't have to worry about anybody else ever coming into your life, ever outdoing you, outranking you, just to feed your ego for a minute, just for a minute. Because once you start teaching them and giving them transcendental experiences, and you now understand tantric sexuality, intimacy, and you use it, they'll go back out there. Believe me, they will, because, you've just seeded it. And when you plant a tomato seed, the gardener doesn't get pissed off because there's no tomatoes the following day. You think the gardener's insane. So you've planted seeds that will take some time to come to fruition. However, in the interim, they're out there going back out in the world doing whatever, maybe kicking tires. Maybe they got another option. And the contrasting of experiences will be so intense. It'll be like they ran into a wall and got hit in the head and fell back. They'll go, shit, why did I leave my person, my beloved, my twin? And they'll come back to see if it was a one-off. And this will go on for a while. And every time you're seeing them, more knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge, more knowledge. And every time they're with you, they feel at peace, stable, grounded. And then they go back out there again. And it just, it's like what would taste sweet in their palate becomes a bitter pill in their mouth. And eventually, because we live in the 21st century and because we live towards the ascension, what happens is while you've done your seeding, the universe will continue the work, and they will wake up with aha moments that are so big, so intense, that they will never be able to be who they were 6 months ago. And clients who have not listened to me on that are still fucking dealing with the same bullshit. Clients who say, well, he's really, really busy. He really, really is busy, are still in the cycle of shit. And those clients who have actually done that have gone back together, have seen the foundation was rotten, things collapsed, and went back into separation, but they got back together to have those discussions and to have those moments. I'm not here to promise you that I'm going to get you in union in 1 year. That's not no one can promise you that. You know what I'm saying? No one can. First of all, there are coaches making hundreds of thousands of dollars selling that they will find your twin flame or soulmate. That's bullshit. Because many of them will never be able to do that. They will find people who are just getting along, and eventually it will just fizzle out. It'll be more like a sibling marriage, if you know what I'm talking about. And that's not the passion of twin rays and twin flames and even high-level soulmates. That's not, it'll be missing that kind of incredible passion. But you'll figure, well, it's my soulmate. And she said, you know, I paid her like 10 grand and she told me that's my soulmate or my twin flame. And here I am. And there's no problems. We never fight. We never argue. We never disagree. Yeah, and also you never have pleasure intimately, if you know what I'm saying, because there's no fire. Even twin rays have fire. But it's a fire that is trusted by both parties, whereas in twin flames, the fire is not trusted. In fact, the fire, it explodes the twins apart from each other because it's so intense. The minute a twin flame connects to your root chakra and vice versa, calcifications start dislodging. Shit starts shaking. It's a fucking earthquake. It scares the shit out of the average person. And they run. Actually, the intimacy usually has them running. And then checking in with other chicks or guys to see if it's a one-off. And they'll realize it's not a one-off. This is only going to happen with you. That is what is so disturbing. And quite often people rather love someone who they don't care about. I know that sounds funny. Who would want to do that? Because that person can never hurt them. If they leave, they don't care. If the person passes away, they'll get over it. They'll be dating in a year or maybe 2. You've heard those marriages. You're like, what the fuck? She died a year ago? He died a year ago? She's already dating? Really? Wow, that must have been a great love affair. When my mother's husband died, my father, she was in PJs for 2 years. She couldn't fucking leave the house. That's love. Okay? She couldn't fucking function without him. That's not to say that's what you want. Because you see, my mother came from a generation where that was, you know, the codependency was a real problem. And I'm not saying that when your twin dies, you're not going to feel completely fucking gutted out. But you will have enough power as a high priest, high priestess to move forward and to continue life and to give yourself, you know, lone wolf time to howl for your mate and to heal and to sob and to release and then to use all your spiritual powers to see if you, I hope, can connect spiritually to part the veils, to continue the relationship in a transformed way. You'll feel confident. But people, I've heard, I mean, literally 10 months ago, my wife, and I remember a client calling me saying, well, you know, he's dating me. And I said, well, he's a widow. I go, when did she die? She died 10 months ago. I went, 10 months? 10 months? What the fuck is he doing dating? And she wasn't getting anywhere. I go, well, of course not. How long was he married? 30 years? Of course not. Of course not. Why would any of his friends tell him to go out and date? It's been 10 months, dude. You know, you need to move on. Really? 30 years of marriage? And there are women out there who actually believe that, well, I'll make it. No, that's not your place. Step the fuck back. Let the person grieve. And that goes with men too. When a person has been in marriage with a high-level soulmate or a twin flame or connection of some kind, they need time. And they need time to reconnect with their person in a transformed state. And then eventually they'll be able to have a life with a new beloved. But it takes time. So the twin flame Ken and Barbie story that is out there, they're really talking about twin rays, just to be clear. And there aren't that many twin rays on the planet. We're not walking on water, my friends. Most of us are filled with fire, jealousy, envy, greed, fear, anger, lots of anger. Boy, I've never seen so much anger as I'm seeing anger now, with the gender disparities, with the gender fighting and the passport bros and the 4B and it's like, fuck, man. Just sit your ass down and meditate and figure out what's going on inside of you. And then ask yourself, I had a client who was amazing, an amazing woman. She did a past life hypnotherapy with me. And and I've talked about it in many lives, but I'm going to mention it again. So she had problems with men, a lot of problems with men. And I understand, we've all had problems with the opposite sex. Let's not bullshit. But I've had problems with women too, so there you have it. But anyway, so we go back, and she's a little girl in Scotland. She's 12 years old, and the 18, I think it was 1850s or thereabouts. And her father treats her like a little queen. He's a sailor of some kind, and a fisherman of some kind. And he goes off and does his excursions for fishing or sailoring, whatever the hell he was doing in the 1850s. And she's excited, and he's an incredible dad. He treats her with absolute respect and kindness and love. Imagine misogyny in those years. The next incarnation, it's the 1880s. She's a farmer. She must have died young, obviously, and that's not unusual. Many of us have had like 4 to 5 incarnations in a 100-year period, but let's move on. So here she is, a farmer, and she's a good man. Married to a pretty little blonde French woman. They have a daughter. Beautiful life. Beautiful life. And after the session, I said, what did you learn? She honestly didn't know. I said, did you notice that there were 2 men? One was your father and one was you. What did you notice that was common? She couldn't really answer. She said, I'm shocked that I was a man. She was really like over the moon over the fact that she was a man married to a woman it was a beautiful marriage. I said that not only was your father a good man, but you were a good man. You were a wonderful man. You never cheated on your wife. You loved your wife. You adored your wife. You treated her like a queen. Then you had a daughter, and they loved you. You had an amazing relationship, and you were a good man. So what do you think that means? She said that they exist. They're bingo. Good men exist. Yeah, you know why? Because you were one of them. So when you go through the spiritual journey, whether or not you're with your twin, the journey is really all about finding out what has never been healed within you in multiple incarnations. And your twin is quite often going to trigger things you thought you had healed years ago. Years ago, you thought you had healed maybe a sense of jealousy or possessiveness or fear of being abandoned or codependency, any of that. You thought, I've been in therapy for 10 years. I'm good. Boom, there walks your twin. Yeah, liar, pants on fire. There you go. He's just triggered, or she has just triggered one of the things or all of it. And you're like, wait, hang on. I did this work. What the fuck's going on here? You analyze the work, on a psychological level. You didn't analyze it in a heart-based level. You didn't analyze it in a spiritual level. You didn't analyze it on some scar, aka impressions from past life level. You didn't do that kind of work. You did the aspect of it, looking at clinically. It was all mental work, but it was not emotional work. It was not spiritual. We're not on that level of greater understanding or else it wouldn't be in front of you. And it's interesting how women sometimes, and specifically women, when the twin goes and gets another woman pregnant, how they say, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? You did nothing wrong. You did nothing wrong. Your twin was so on a low vibration. You're in 4D, 5D, they're in 3D, constantly 3D, 2D. That they met their frequency match. And now they're having a baby. And hopefully that baby will teach them how to wake up. You know? So that then they eventually can turn back to you and go, oh my God, I know who you are now. I have a client like that. He actually went to another country, married another woman, loved this woman that he was with, right? This woman. Let's call her Anne. So Anne was in love with, let's call him Rick. And Rick decided to go to a foreign country and get a mail order bride, if you will, brought her back, got her pregnant within like a month. And then finally now, after 2 years, is going back to Anne going, I fucked up. I really fucked up. None of this is what I want. And Anne, because she's angry, rightly so, is saying, yeah, but you wanted this. You wanted all of this. You were hell-bent on it. And I'm not going to be your mistress. That is, I'm not doing it. And the man is going through, Rick is going through a massive depression. Because he's fucked up. And there's something holding him back from her. Because you and I both know there are men and women that, divorced during pregnancy. Fuck. But no, that there's something else. There's a couple soul contracts involved that supersede their connection. And so now, he's decided that, he's going to do this and that, and he's trying to get all his ducks in a row. And she's decided to give herself, again, I'm against blocking, no contact, but she's being very wise. She's saying, I need 120 days. I need 120 days to make decisions. And he almost felt like, for him, it was like he couldn't breathe, because I told her from the very beginning, you are his oxygen. You are his raison d'etre. As long as he gets a piece of Anne once a week, he's good. You fed him for the whole week. But it depletes her. They're twin flames. And it's not going to work like that. It's not going to honor what she needs. And so if she can do it for 120 days, she might do it for the whole year. And if she can do it for the whole year, then she's going to shift her energies to bring in a beloved who will walk beside her. She needs it. She deserves it. She wants it. She wants a companion, a beloved. And why shouldn't she? And he is absolutely devastated that he can't see her, hear her voice, touch her, look into her eyes, smell her, hold her hair. She's got magnificent hair. He's absolutely... And he might, and I said to her, if all goes well, he will go through a dark night of the soul. Sounds cruel, doesn't it? But it isn't, because that's what he needs to wake up. He's still entrenched in dogmatic thinking. He knows what he's losing is more precious than gold, yet he can't formulate why still. And until he understands why she is the most precious thing, more precious than gold, more precious than anything he has, he will never value her enough to make bold decisions. So the dark night of the soul is the beginning of him going up in flames, if you will, and then eventually, hopefully, transmuting that energy and getting knowledge. She gave him the books. I told her, I said, just give him the fucking books. Just, the man's not dumb. He's got a couple masters. You'll eventually pick one up and start reading it at a most desperate point. Kind of like when people pick up scriptures, when they're very desperate, the Bible, the Quran, the Torah. And hopefully he'll get there. As long as there's breath in their lungs in this incarnation, they have a chance. But you know what? Even if not, in the next life, when they both drop their bodies, they will meet, hopefully. And they'll be able to say, what happened? What could you have done better? I know his guide will talk to him about it, and his guide will ask him, where you turn left instead of right, what happened? Tell me what happened. And then I'm going to pull down some footage from the Akashic, and I'm going to show you what could have happened had you done this. This scenario would have happened if you had done this. This scenario would have happened. And if you, as a twin flame, can't be okay with it not happening in this incarnation, you will suffer until your last breath. If you can be okay that all the work you're doing may not give you the fruits of your labor in this particular incarnation, if you can just thrive through that pain and be okay with that, and realize it might be that your twin needs a couple cycles in 3D, just a couple more, maybe one or two, before they can join you, then you will never be happy in this incarnation. And the worst thing that you can do for the collective is an unhappy twin, a destroyed twin, a broken twin is the worst thing that can happen to us as a collective. Does that make sense? I feel like you're talking to me. I hope his baby wakes him up. Yeah, and some of these souls are coming in, and they're going to be kicking down doors. So what to do? Watch my videos. I have tons of videos. They're all free. If you need more coaching or you need to find out where they're at or whatever, you come and read with somebody like me. You go on my website and you fill out the intake form. But there are tons of free videos I've created. Tons. I mean, scroll all the way back to where you see my dog. If you haven't seen my dog yet, you haven't seen all my videos. I'll tell you that right now. So scroll all the way down and then go up the ladder of my videos. That's what you do. And you learn. You learn what twin flames are. You learn how they were created. You learn about Atlantis. You learn the connection with that. You learn. Then you go on my YouTube channel and you learn. Being transcendental means trusting the universe has your back. It means you don't say, why is this happening to me? You go, wow, yeah, I volunteered for this. I guess, because I can tell you my own personal, past lives. I had a past life with a particular gentleman. I had 4 past lives. 2, I was women. I was two females, 2 males. And in all these past lives, and I mention it quite often in the lives, but out of 3, we took turns unaliving each other, meaning we suicided ourselves. And what was interesting is that it was just him and me. There were no high-level soulmates. In other words, my husband was not in those incarnations, nor was my twin. Nowhere to be seen. Not at all. So quite often, we aren't in these connections with our twins for like maybe 100 to 200 year separation. And then we come back again and again, and we still fuck up, obviously. And and we're separated for a while. We need it's kind of like one person going to the university in Texas and another person going to London. What they need to learn, they can't get in Texas, and vice versa. They cannot get it in London. So you have to have different experiences. I can tell you honestly that that's probably going to happen with me. I'm in union with my twin. My twin is very ill. I'm seriously ill. And if you want to pray for him, I just, out of the goodness of your heart, please do. Or send him good vibrations. But I can see that we will be separated by a couple incarnations. Because even though he's in a 4D of knowledge, knowing, he does know better to go to 5D. That's me not judging him. That's just the reality. Judgment is accusatory energy, judging someone. Being really reality-based is going, it's like being a good mother. My kid can't read. Yep. But my kid fucking has an amazing memory, but my kid can't read. Okay. Well, that's not judging your kid. You're going, the reality is my kid can't read. They have a good memory and they memorize everything because they can't read. So once you say the words out loud to them, they kind of make extra efforts to remember. I know that's something Tom Cruise does. He He's a dyslexic and dysgraphic. He can't read and he can't write. I don't know if you guys know that. And so all his scripts have always been read to him, and that's how he memorizes them. He has a photographic memory. My point is, that is the concept of judgment, is when you accuse someone and you're judging them. I'm not judging him. I have amazing compassion for him. And I can't be part of those incarnations, because he needs the space to experience things that I'm not a frequency matched to. I'm not better than him. I don't, by any stretch of the imagination. He is a very powerful soul. But the dogmatic belief system that he has in this incarnation, and quite possibly a few more that have entrenched themselves in his psyche, right? Need to be, it's like barnacles off a turtle. They need to be removed, right? Needs to be removed. And there's so much I can do, because just like if I was like that and I was entrenched in my belief that I was, that how I was living my life was exactly how it should be, right? There was no one can convince me otherwise. It's just like trying to convince your teenage son or teenage daughter not to go 120 miles an hour in the sports car. You can tell them, they can lie to you and say they won't, and then they still do it. And hopefully they'll get home safe. We have free will. It's a double-edged sword. And when somebody's entrenched in their dogmatic beliefs, especially somebody who is, you might have a twin that's patriarchal or comes from a very entrenched patriarchal line. What in the fuck are you going to do about that? So all you can do is plant the seeds of spiritual knowledge, hope for the best, water your garden, meaning water yourself, water your twin, fertilize the energies, send incredible vibes, and go in this life or the next, I surrender. That became my banner. In this life or the next, I surrender. I have to trust implicitly what's in place. Implicitly, unconditionally trusting the universe the way the universe unconditionally loves me. It's a partnership. And at any point, if you think the universe is against you, you're barking up the wrong tree. It isn't. It isn't. If it's blocking you from something, like blocking you from your twin, it's because you are no longer a frequency match. Trust me on this one. And the universe will not allow you to be with someone who will lower your energy. You become what you hang with. You know that saying, right? It's a true saying. When you hang with star seeds and high-level souls and esoteric thinkers and metaphysical minds, always curious, not arguing points to argue, but to ferret out more truth and more content in what may be hidden, the jewels of mysticism, right? Then you will become more that. If you hang out with the cattle of humanity, like people who are just entrenched in dogma and cruelty and greed and so forth, you'll surprise yourself, and you might become that. It might take years, but eventually your frequency, at any level, your frequency will get lowered. You'll get drained out. So I was having a conversation about judgment with my twin a couple days ago. That's amazing. Acceptance leads to deliberation. Oh, I really hope my twin will eventually read the books I gave him. Yes, you are speaking my life right now. I feel like yes. It's a lot. I need to talk about my twin flame story so bad. I get you. So, does anybody have any questions? I'm going to do I'm going to go ahead and do a a oracle reading from Earth Warriors. Again, my Patreon is up. And so we'll be sending Zoom links. Andromeda Flame is a powerhouse. Please follow her. She has wonderful videos on chakras, and she goes very much into depth into chakras. She studied the shit out of chakras, let me just say. And so follow her. Mia is also wonderful in terms of... follow Mia, because she has a lot of videos about... micro dieting, cold plunging, fasting, dry fasting, all kinds of wonderful things. And if your twin is open to understanding but is more broken, what is the Patreon? It's on my link tree. It's on my link tree. So there's different. Oh, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So the Patreon is up. It has. I have it all the way up to where if you want to have a reading once a month, then you get a lot of perks. A lot of. I'm gonna start uploading guided meditations that are much longer, and things of that nature that are going to be exclusively for Patreon members. And I hate to page that. Also, guess what? This is the best part, actually. I get to read the really erotic content of my book, Recall, that's been banned by TikTok. Recall was banned by TikTok. I don't know if you guys know. Completely banned. I can't sell it on TikTok. So the nice thing about the Patreon is I'll be able to read experts on Vimeo, right? And you guys will have access to it. And it will be exclusively for Patreon members. I will not make it public. I could make it public on YouTube, but I don't want to. I want to keep that, so I'll read excerpts of it, and go from there. So that should be fun, because now I don't have to edit myself, because a lot of it is somewhat irreverent. I would say very irreverent on Orthodox religions. You'll see what I mean if you buy the book. If you've read the book, you know what I'm talking about. If you want to buy the book. Unfortunately, it's not on Audible. I wish I could hire someone to do it, but I don't have the wherewithal. I might do, come to think of it. But anyway, let's move on. Let's go right into the tarot oracle reading, and let's see what power wants for you. Okay, what power is hoping to give you in terms of a message. Okay, bear with me, and let me get my deck. I love this deck. I've had it for a while, but I haven't used it except for recently. And if you want, I also did a pull on Black Diamond of the, what was it? Black Tiger. No, Diamond Tiger on the Black Moon. Yeah, that's what it was. There's a video of that if you want. But anyway, all right, you know the drill. The universe is definitely conspiring in my favor. It brought you to me just as I needed you. Oh, that's fabulous, Angie Smith. I know. Welcome, by the way, Angie. Angie's been very generous, and apparently she's going the rabbit hole of the videos. And yeah, so let's go ahead and pick. So you guys know the drill. Give your angels, guides, and allies permission to guide you in this session. When you're ready, pick from the top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. And the majority wins on the pick. So when you're ready, top, bottom, or middle. Okay, I've stopped shuffling. Bottom. Majority wins. Top, middle. I'm going to go with top. I'll tell you why, because the bottom, we already read it. We already read that. So let's go. Top. And top is number 1. Wow. Number 1, it's Hosho, Beauty Way of the Navajo, number 1. This is a beautiful, androgynous, like, woman with a white, like, butterfly above her head. And she has these sacred geometry around her. And Earth Warriors very much connects with plant medicine and shamanism. So let me read you the first, okay? Let's read that. And then we'll do another oracle reading from another deck. I want to do today, because we've had such an intense talk, I want to do Kali Oracle after this one, and then we'll be done, okay? All right, let me read you the first one. It's called Hojo, Beauty Way of the Navajo. You are my sacred earth child, and I am your divine earth mother. With unconditional love, I provide all that you want and need so that you may fulfill your sacred destiny. We will always belong to each other. With abundance and generosity, I support you and reveal such divine beauty meant for you that joy and awe shall fill your soul. Relax now. It is time for you to be healed. In a reading, there is a beautiful solution available. Do not place your faith in worry or stress. Allow life to unfold. As you relax and give yourself permission to rest within the vastness of beauty of nature, you will become receptive to the best way to handle things. Don't try to figure it out by force. Let go and trust that what is needed is coming to you at the perfect time in the perfect way. Your peaceful mind shall readily and accurately perceive all that you need to know. Spiritual guidance. Beneath the noise, beneath your worries and concerns, there is oneness between you and life. Even though your world may feel chaotic at times, Even if you fear you've gone off track, the path that will return you to peace, beauty, balance, and harmony is always here for you. You do not have to become stressed or exhausted to fix what isn't working. Solutions can come to you more easily when you allow yourself to drop out of pain and into the pleasure of the beauty of life. What does that mean? How do you do that? It's raining right now. And you guys know I'm in upstate New York. It's raining. And how would you do that? To drop out of pain into the beauty of life. You would actually bundle up and you would take a walk with your rain boots or whatever, or barefoot, and feel the leaves beneath your feet in the mud or your boots, and just hear the crackling branches and the wind and the sound of the rains dropping off the leaves. You might even say, fuck it, I don't care if I get wet and muddy. And you might just drop and sit and contemplate and bow your head and feel Pachamama beneath your buttocks. And sit in stillness and allow the rain to do its work on you. Maybe even pull out your tongue and grab some of that rain in your mouth. And that would remind you of your childhood for a moment. That's how you do it. Honoring life's beauty isn't about ignoring the reality of the world or becoming superficial. Instead, it is a deep spiritual feeling of trust, openness, and appreciation of the divine presence shining in all aspects of life. This appreciation restores the soul with the sublime recognition of a greater loving intelligence that is always present, always inviting, always responding. When some form of ugliness is disturbing your soul, threatening to steer your peaceful trust in the divine, you are guided to come back to the beauty of life, back into worshipful reverence of the sacred. From that place, you then become empowered to deal with the situation in a way that increases love and joy in yourself and the world, rather than being overtaken by ugliness. Offer beauty instead. Can you relax for a moment now? This is your first step into the spirit of the beauty way. Allow the simple beauty of nature, of human kindness, of divine love to seep deep into your soul, infusing it like a sacred tea. Divine beauty moves through you and fills you, bringing you a lightly euphoric feeling. You can be uplifted, renewed, at peace. The divine feminine knows how to create beautiful harmony. She includes you, your life journey, all human beings in the world as a whole within her wisdom and grace. When you relax into her beauty, she will show you many possibilities. She will help you attract what you need and want most. In this way, you can become a channel through which her creative healing energy can flow abundantly into your life to others in this world. Beautiful, beautiful card, beautiful message. So let me get Kali, because Kali is a badass. And again, this deck is from Alana Fairchild. It's called the Earth Warriors. This other deck is again by Alana Fairchild, and it's called the Kali Oracle. Kali Oracle deck. Let me see. As you take care of yourself, take care of Pachamama. Pick the garbage as you walk. It's so easy. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you for adding that. I'm impressed how this card speaks to me. Thank you. It's a beautiful card. Let's go into Kali. Again, top, bottom, or middle. Top, bottom, or middle. Let's see what Pachamama has for you guys today. Top, bottom, or middle. Top. I've stopped. Middle. Top, bottom, or middle. Middle, middle, middle. Okay, you got it. Middle. The middle way. Oh, I've never gotten this card before. This is great. This is called... okay, so this is Kali. This is one of the many faces of Kali. It's 23. Thank you, Andromeda. Blaga. So this is called Blaga Mukti. Blaga Mukti. 23. And 23, believe it or not, is my number. 23 in Kabbalah numerology is the Lion of the Magi. It is a fantastic number. So if you're born on the 23, if your double number life path is 23, that's a very great number. And usually when you're 23, you're either 32 or 14 as well, by the way, which is a 5, which is Mercury, communication. All right, 23, Baglamukti, burning golden light of divine protection. She arrests the flow of negativity, particularly that of our own making. Did you hear this? She arrests the flow of negativity, particularly that of our own making. She is divine intervention and sacred activity. She transforms our karma from that which hinders our joy to that which creates true happiness and bliss for ourselves and all beings. As you seek refuge in her, you are protected from gossip, slander, and any form of negativity from others. A positive turning of the tide of fortune is predicted. Bingo. Did you hear that? Slander, gossip, any form of negativity. As you go through the twin flame journey and you try to tell even your psychiatrist, your therapist, what you're going through, don't. They're not going to get it. I actually, one of my clients is actually a well-known therapist. She gets it. I've had therapists come on my lives and say, yeah, I know codependency. I know obsession. This is different. These are PhDs coming to my life saying that shit to me. Saying, yeah, twin flame is not that. That's not it. You're not crazy. Okay, let's continue. The 8th of the Mahavadya wisdom goddesses is Baklamuti. She's a beautiful avatar of Kali, known for her golden light. She is also called Pita Mambura Devi, or the goddess dressed in yellow. Her blessing is the bestowal of siddhis, or yogic power. In particular, her power of stambara, or the power to paralyze or immobilize. She is known for pulling the tongues out of demons, which seems gruesomely at odds with her beautiful appearance, but along with her stambara, has a deep spiritual significance. The tongue is the symbol of speech. Did I not say 23? I didn't even know this, okay? Did I not say 23 is 5, and that's Mercury, which is speech? The tongue is the symbol of speech. Speech is sound, expressed with intention. Sound is a creative power. Intention gives a direction. Did you hear that? Intention gives a direction. It is not what you say. It is how you say it. You can actually insult someone and they don't even realize it because of the tone of your speech. And you can say something brutally violent in your voice, and yet you're saying something beautiful. You don't have to understand the words. But you will feel the intention. And even in silence, there's intention. The silent tongue, the tongue stops. And you feel the vibration of the person's intent, and you're like, wait, that's not good. Or yeah, wow, good. Trust in the unspoken truths that come to you as well as the spoken. To pull out the tongue of a demon is to end its capacity to create trouble. It is stambara, in the sense of aborting or stemming the flow of negativity. Baklamuti halts negativity in its tracks, preventing it from doing any harm, nullifying its power to cause havoc. It is an act of protection. If you or another have said words you regret, or you've heard some nasty gossip or jealousy or hatefulness stemmed from someone's lips akin to a curse, trust that your spiritual refuge in Baklamuti will nullify its effect. Ripping out the tongue acknowledges the power of negativity and the need to have zero tolerance for it. There's no pretending the negativity doesn't exist. It means recognizing its source within or around us and cutting them off at the root, thereby removing their capacity to influence us. Some may argue that it is spiritual bypassing, a term used for spiritual approaches that avoid life's challenges rather than to face them and mature. That term may be misapplied to mean that we need to engage with toxic energies for our spiritual growth. Did you hear that? That term may be misapplied to mean that we need to engage with toxic energies for our spiritual growth. This is little like saying you need to keep beating your head against a brick wall to learn how to deal with the pain. If somebody doesn't know how to treat you or talk to you, that's it. That's that. Comes there comes to the point when you will realize you no longer need to continue. Understanding the nature of the behavior and the pain it causes is enough. This is not weakness, but wisdom. Baklamuti's presence in a reading indicates that you are learning how to self-protect, to have enough self-worth to realize you don't need to accept negative, undermining, and toxic energies in your life. Your happiness and spiritual growth will increase as you clear them out. To do this, you may need to cut something off entirely. Sometimes that is the only effective way. It takes spiritual strength to give yourself unconditional support so you can thrive, especially, for example, if childhood conditioning was laden with a duty to sacrifice your well-being to another's emotional suffering. Arresting negativity is not only about dealing with projections from others, it is often more challenging and intricate work to conquer the ways we are cruel to ourselves. Bakhmuti helps us accurately identify and therefore deal effectively with external and internal sources of sabotage or negativity. Harshness towards ourselves or others is very different from a healthy and humorous reconnection of our weakness, which helps us become less reactive and creates more happiness. Baklamuti is about tackling unhelpful, toxic shame, that which leaves us feeling unworthy, that something is innately wrong with us, that we do not deserve love or respect. It does not keep us humble. It keeps us spiritually incapacitated. We need a healthy sense of self-worth to be committed to growth and learning. We need to believe we are worthy of our unique destiny. With Baklamuti arises in a reading, a blessing of some sort needs to manifest. It may be a type of relationship you have never experienced before, or a new level of professional recognition or respect or realization of your innate beauty and value. This gift is essential to your continued spiritual progress, which benefits you and all beings. To be able to receive it, some sort of toxic negativity needs to be conquered, and so it will be. Do not be afraid to affirm your right to thrive. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. My entire heart space is expanded right now. It feels like a beautiful ache. I know what you mean by that. A beautiful ache. And yet that ache eventually would be filled and completely healed. In other words, that ache won't remain for long. It's a temporary thing God's place, and yet there's something beautiful in that. It's feeling alive, being alive in all of the capacity of emotions. It's actually why we incarnate. You know, when we're in our spirit selves, right? When we're out of these bodies, we are so transcendental, so detached, so just not triggered to this level. And the biology of these bodies and these brains and, the bloodlines we embody from these particular family lineages and all of those aspects, it's one of the things we love is to feel. And what's really heartbreaking to me is people who will take all kinds of things not to feel, to lobotomize their feelings. It's a beautiful ache, is to feel alive in these human bodies. That is incredibly beautiful. It's interesting too, because when you look at the fear of feeling, it's become normal to desire that above all, not to feel. I had a friend who lost her mother, and her mother was her soulmate, her best friend, and she was absolutely destroyed. And they gave her happy pills, and it made her want to tear her skin off her body. I'm not joking. But what was interesting is they gave her stuff not to feel the pain of the loss of her mother. Can you fucking imagine that shit? Like, what the fuck is wrong with feeling? And so some of the things that we've done in our society, spiritually puritanical societies, is shame people who cry. Men who cry, women who cry, crying at the office, crying out of frustration, crying out of anger, crying out of grief, feeling your feelings. And we really need to allow every single human being to have that on the spot. It should never be shamed, and yet it quite often is. I have a friend who hasn't cried in decades. I've talked about her in a previous live, like last year. She's had, I'm not joking, okay, when I say this. She's had 6 heart attacks. I think it was 6 heart attacks. Yeah. And she finally had a heart. It's fucking because she doesn't cry. And that woman's gone through massive, massive, massive fuckery throughout her life. Massive. Well, one of the most powerful women I've ever met. Catholic, devout Catholic, devout. I'll tell you a funny story that's about magic and how powerful women can be, and men. She was broke. There was a choice. I've never told this story. I only tell that to personal clients. I'm going to share this with you because it's such magic. Don't try this at home, obviously, but let's do that. Let's tell you the story. It was a choice between gas and food for her kids because her husband was a piece of shit, cheating and whatever. And she had 3 babies. And so she chose to feed them, but she still had to go to work, right? And so she had no gas money. And she had chosen to feed her kids. So she went to the garden and got the hose out and literally put it in the the tank. And she said, and she closed her eyes before she turned on the hose. And she said, if Jesus could turn water into wine, he can turn water into gasoline. And she filled the fucking tank up. And do you know that car ran for fucking 6 months? She's not full of shit, for real. She told me this story years ago. Months ago, I saw a man whose car was confiscated by the government. It was running by water. And I sent her I said, you were ahead of the guy. So this idea of being able to dissolve inoperable cancer through just, meditation and so forth, all of these wonderful gifts, all of these transmutations, the ability to turn things into what we need it to be, to heal ourselves, to heal our brains, to heal our souls, it's all there. And it reminds me of the scene in Indiana Jones, the third movie where Sean Connery's in the movie. Do you remember that scene where Indiana Jones has to go get the Grail, and it's an abyss, and he has to trust that if he puts his feet down, he's not going to fall, and he clenches his eyes shut, and he puts one foot in, and then he looks like, wait, hang on, I'm not falling, and he just literally, there's nothing below his feet, just faith, and he makes it to the other side. It's interesting. We have the ability to do that. And I'll tell you why I know this for a fact. Because you might have seen this where they have monks up in the Himalayas and they will douse them with water. And then they will put heavy, woolen, wet, drenched blankets on them. And then they will go into a state of meditation and chanting. And within an hour or two, they're dry and the blanket is hot and steaming dry. All with the will. All with intention and focus and chanting. Chanting the monkey mind away. So we're capable of massive changes. And so when you're working on yourself, this is what I'm going to leave you with. Whatever you feed you feed your twin. And though the seeds you're planting may not bear fruit before your eyes at your will, your desire to see it happening at a certain timeline that you want, know that it's being worked on. Know that the universe is doing its work. And so it's assisting you. And so when you feed yourself despair, you feed your twin despair. When you feed yourself knowledge, spiritual powers, all of these things, because you share this umbilical cord, your twin benefits, and it's the 100 monkey theories, but much more powerful than that because it's your twin and you're connected, vibrationally connected. No matter what, no matter if they drop their body before you, you are always connected. So what you feeds your twin. So when you're feeling certain things that aren't yours, transmuted with meditation, chanting, and working on your chakras. You know what I mean? All right, let me read some of your comments, and then I want to thank you for being here and being so patient. I've been writing the energies from the sun lately. So blissful, transcendental, beautiful. The sun is amazing. All right, my loves, I want to send you much love on your journey. I'm going to upload this live on YouTube. Patreon is up. Choose your level. All of you will get links to Zoom once you join. but we want to make it, because once Andromeda and I start teaching classes together, because we're looking at curriculum, she's already writing all kinds of wonderful, juicy things to teach. You definitely want to look at doing it. And I think what we want to do is make it approachable, and you guys can vote on it too, but we would like to charge $23, and the class would probably be 90 minutes, to be honest. So, and then we would, of course, record them and upload them to a private link that no one else can get to, so that you guys can still have access to the links. Does that make sense? To the classes. And we will start just stacking classes up and doing that, so that you guys can get a sense of community. 1, 2, it's on Zoom. That means we all hear our voices. It's fantastic. We might see each other. Some of you, if you want to be incognito, it's all good. No one gives a shit. It's all good. And we're going to start building this community up. And this time, I know that we have the right intentions, the right hearts, the right desires to heal the planet, first and foremost, heal the collective, realize that some of us will go through the ascension portals. Some will be left behind, not because there's anything wrong with them, but because they don't feel worthy of going across. And you're better off, as I say to all my clients, you're better off being at the top of the Himalayas, throwing ropes and ladders to those below, than being in the mud with them trying to climb and sliding off the sides of the mountain. Get going. Keep crossing those rivers to the ascension. You're needed there. And then you can help all those you love to the other side. Trust me on this, okay? Sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. I'll talk to you soon.